Abraham's life is a powerful testament to faith, obedience, and God's unwavering promises. Through trials, delays, and tests, Abraham remained faithful and God fulfilled his promises. Abraham lived in a bustling city called Ur, surrounded by family and familiar comforts. Life wasn't perfect, but it was all he knew. Abraham could have stayed there, living a comfortable life, but deep down he felt a stirring. He sensed there was more to life than the idols and traditions of his ancestors. He yearned for something truer, something more profound. Little did he know, God was about to call him on an incredible journey of faith. Ur was a city of great significance in ancient Mesopotamia, a place where culture and commerce thrived. The people of Ur were known for their advancements in writing, architecture, and governance. It was a city that represented stability and progress. Abraham, known as Abram at the time, was part of this vibrant community. He had a family, a home, and a place in society. Yet, despite all the external success and security, there was an inner restlessness that he couldn't ignore. This restlessness was not just a fleeting feeling, it was a profound sense of purpose that kept growing stronger. Abraham began to question the world around him. He wondered about the meaning of life, the nature of the divine, and his own place in the grand scheme of things. These questions led him to seek answers beyond the familiar rituals and deities of Ur. He started to believe that there was a higher power, a single God who was calling him to a different path. One night, as Abraham gazed up at the stars, he felt a profound connection to something greater than himself. It was as if the universe was speaking to him, urging him to leave behind the life he knew and embark on a journey of faith. This was not an easy decision. Leaving Ur meant abandoning his home, his family, and the security of the known. But Abraham's faith was strong, and he trusted that this call was leading him to a greater purpose. And so, with a heart full of faith and a spirit ready for adventure, Abraham set out on a journey that would change the course of history. He left Ur, guided by a promise and a vision of a new land. This was the beginning of a remarkable story of faith, obedience, and the pursuit of a divine calling. Abraham's journey reminds us that sometimes we must leave behind the familiar to discover the extraordinary. One day God spoke to Abraham. It was a moment that would change the course of history, not just for Abraham, but for countless generations to come. This divine encounter was not marked by thunder or lightning, but by a profound sense of purpose and destiny. It wasn't a booming voice from the heavens, but a gentle whisper in his heart. This whisper carried with it a message of great significance, a call to step into the unknown and embrace a future that was yet to be revealed. Abraham felt a deep sense of peace and conviction. He knew this was no ordinary moment. It was a divine invitation to embark on a journey of faith and trust. God told him to leave his homeland, his family, and everything he knew. This was not an easy decision. Abraham had to say goodbye to the familiar, to the comfort of his home, and to the people he loved. He was to travel to a new land, a land God would show him. This land was a promise, a place where Abraham's descendants would flourish and become a great nation. This was a huge request. The magnitude of what was being asked of Abraham was immense. He was being called to leave behind everything he had ever known and step into a future that was completely uncertain. Imagine the fear, the uncertainty. Abraham must have felt a whirlwind of emotions. The path ahead was not clear, and the challenges he would face were unknown. Yet, amidst all this, there was a sense of divine assurance. Yet the Bible tells us Abraham went out, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11:8. This act of obedience was a testament to his unwavering faith. He chose to trust in God's promise, even when the destination was not visible. He chose to trust God's voice, even though the path ahead was unclear. This trust was not blind, it was rooted in a deep relationship with God, a relationship built on faith and obedience. This act of faith marked the beginning of an extraordinary adventure. Abraham's journey was not just a physical one, but a spiritual odyssey that would shape the destiny of an entire people. His story is a powerful reminder of the incredible things that can happen when we choose to trust and follow the call of the divine. Leaving everything behind, Abraham set out with his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot. They traveled for miles, their journey filled with challenges. They faced scorching deserts, crossed raging rivers, and encountered unfamiliar cultures. Through it all, Abraham held on to God's promise. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. Genesis 12:2. He clung to this promise during times of doubt and fear, reminding himself that God was faithful. Abraham's faith was tested time and again. He faced famine, deception, and even had to rescue his nephew Lot from a dangerous war. Yet with each challenge, his trust in God deepened. He learned to rely on God's strength, not his own. God, in turn, reaffirmed his covenant with Abraham. He promised him countless descendants, as numerous as the stars in the sky. This promise seemed impossible, especially since Sarah was past childbearing age. Yet Abraham chose to believe, demonstrating the unwavering faith that would define his legacy. Section 5, the ultimate sacrifice. A father's love, a God's promise. Years later, God gave Abraham and Sarah a son, Isaac. They rejoiced. This miracle child was a testament to God's faithfulness. But then came the ultimate test of Abraham's faith. God asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, his beloved son, as a burnt offering. Imagine the anguish, the inner turmoil Abraham must have felt. Yet he obeyed. He climbed a mountain, prepared the altar, and raised his hand to sacrifice his son. At the last moment, an angel stopped him. God provided a ram instead. Section 6, a covenant fulfilled. Isaac, the son of laughter. Born to Abraham and Sarah in their old age, Isaac's birth was nothing short of a miracle. His name, meaning laughter, was a testament to the joy and disbelief his parents felt upon his arrival. Sarah, who had long been barren, laughed in amazement when she heard she would bear a son. This laughter was not of doubt, but of overwhelming joy and astonishment at God's promise being fulfilled. This event, known as the binding of Isaac, is pivotal in understanding Abraham's faith. God tested Abraham by asking him to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac. Despite the heart-wrenching nature of this command, Abraham's faith did not waver. He trusted that God had a plan, even if it was beyond his understanding. As they climbed the mountain, Isaac, carrying the wood for the sacrifice, unknowingly walked towards what seemed like his doom. It revealed his unwavering obedience and trust in God, even when faced with the unthinkable. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac was a profound demonstration of his faith. He believed that God could even raise the dead if necessary. This act of obedience was not just about the sacrifice, but about the depth of Abraham's trust in God's promises. It foreshadowed God's own sacrifice, offering his son Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice for our sins. The story of Isaac is a precursor to the ultimate act of love and sacrifice that would come through Jesus Christ. Just as Abraham was willing to give up his son, God gave his only son for the salvation of humanity. This parallel highlights the profound connection between the Old and New Testaments. Because of Abraham's obedience, God reaffirmed his covenant. An angel of the Lord intervened at the last moment, sparing Isaac's life and providing a ram as a substitute sacrifice. This act not only saved Isaac, but also reinforced God's promise to Abraham. God reiterated that Abraham's descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Isaac lived, and through him, God's promise of a great nation was fulfilled. Isaac's survival ensured the continuation of Abraham's lineage, leading to the birth of the nation of Israel. This moment was a turning point, solidifying the faith of Abraham and his descendants in God's unwavering promises. Abraham and Sarah had waited years for this promise. Their journey was filled with trials and tribulations, but their faith never faltered. The birth of Isaac was the culmination of years of hope, prayer, and trust in God's word. It was a reminder that God's timing is perfect, even if it doesn't align with our own expectations. This taught them and us the importance of patience and unwavering faith in God's timing. The story of Isaac is a powerful lesson in trust and obedience. It encourages us to hold on to our faith even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Through Isaac, we learn that God's promises are always fulfilled and his plans are always for our good. Section 7. A legacy of faith, Abraham's impact on the world. Abraham lived a long life witnessing God's faithfulness time and again. He died at a ripe old age, but his story didn't end there. He became known as the father of faith, his legacy impacting generations to come. Even today, millions draw inspiration from his life. He reminds us that true faith requires trust and obedience even when facing uncertainty. He teaches us that God keeps his promises, even if it takes longer than we expect. Section 8. Echoes of Abraham. Finding our own faith journey. Abraham's story isn't just ancient history, it's a timeless message of hope and encouragement. We may not be called to leave our homes or make grand sacrifices, but we are all called to a life of faith. Every day we face our own comfort zones. We encounter challenges that test our faith. But like Abraham, we can choose to trust God's voice, even when the path ahead is unclear. We can choose to believe in his promises, even when they seem impossible. Section 9. God's unwavering promises. A message for us today. Remember, God's promises are for you too. He desires a deep, personal relationship with you. He wants to guide you, bless you, and use you for his purposes. Just like he did with Abraham, God will be faithful. He will never leave you nor forsake you, so take courage. Step out in faith, even if it's just one small step at a time. Trust in the God who calls you by name. He will be with you every step of the way. Keep believing, keep moving forward, and like Abraham, you will see God's blessing unfold in your life. Leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bible insights.